Hi, welcome everybody. My name is Trace van Nuenen and I'm the Network Coordinator of Deafblind International. I'm very pleased to tell you more about the importance of the networks and about the focus on networks in the upcoming month. But I'm not going to do that alone. Together with the President of DBI, Frank Kat, and the Vice President, Mirko Bauer, we would like to guide you shortly through some highlights of the networks. And I would like to start with one question for you, Frank.
Yeah, go ahead.
As president of DBI, why do you think that networks are such an important part of Deafblind International?
Thank you, Trace. That's a pretty good question. Let's start with maybe go back in time a bit when DBI, Deafblind International, wasn't yet DBI, but in the 1950s, colleagues from education and care were seeking knowledge and looking for help to their questions that they had. Well, they were working with kids, mostly at the time, that had a sort of a rare disease that they didn't know much about. So we're looking locally and then nationally. And then they figured out, well, we need to find others to share what we find right now and what we like to know. So exchanging started a bit from the educational perspective. So they were looking in Germany, England, in Europe, but the same happened at the other end of the globe. And that was through phone calls and traditional mails, not emails like we have nowadays. So, and that evolved into certain, certain groups of interest that we call networks nowadays. And this is one of the basic things that developed DBI probably into what it is now, a point of connection. And that point of connection reflects in what actually we want to achieve with the networks itself. I can give you lots of other reasons as well, but this is a tiny bit of history.
And it's even better. I mean, it's the history, it's the present. Present, as Frank said, the point of connection, but it will also be the future of DBI. DBI is all about connecting. It's all about networking in a good sense of networking. It's not lobbying for ourselves. It's lobbying for the needs and the rights of a person with deaf blindness and their families. And it's about lobbying to become more competent as a service provider. So what we all need is this network. And
yes.
Tiny little, actually not that tiny. I mean, membership in the networks are not that small. But the sub networks of the networks will help us develop into a strong power.
And isn't it great that we already have 40 networks? So.
Oh yeah, they're growing,
and quite diverse.
Yes.
I mean, we have some new ones, and some that are really there for a long time, mostly focused on communication. But we have some really interesting new ones that are related to questions or knowledge we seek at the moment.
Yes.
There's one thing I would like to add to what Mirko said. For example, it is a network is where you find your resources, but it's also a place where others will find resources. So in that case, it is connected to what Mirko said, the point of connection.
Yes.
And going back to one of my favorite networks is the youth networks, of course.
Yes.
Well, of course, I like the group and I've been with them a few times, but to see what connecting people from different countries does, especially with these groups, and what is possible to do together, and what they do on drama, on going out, cooking, all kind of activities, and that you see that they have fun. So the purpose of it is probably much deeper. But when you see that kids have fun together, from different countries, and not talk about whatever is not possible, but mostly talk about what we're going to do, what is possible, is really great to see.
That's true. Yeah. Well, you can see it on the video fragments, on the photos, and what they all were doing with each other. You know, that's really, connection is really the key word, I think, of the youth network. And it's always also great that they have representatives all over the world. And also the booklets they have written with all the youngsters with telling something about themselves. It's great. Yeah.
Stop a deaf blind man, a tushy, from having a go. The 27-year-old communicating solely through hand vibrations to catch his very first wave at Kurrawa this morning.
All activities should be accessible for young people who are deaf-blind, and we're here today to sort of make that statement.
Atushi is visiting the Deaf Blind International World Conference. It's on at the Marriott.
Charge Network is, telling us the stories of persons with charge, which is extremely important for anyone, for the person themselves, but also for the professionals, for the family. So this is another form of networking happening through the publications. Yet another form is, of course, the networking happening through the conferences and the pre-conferences, for example, from the Charge Network, but by any other network as well. And maybe especially the Research Network is very active in that part.
Yeah, it's good you mentioned the Research Network, because this is what I was surprised in the beginning. It was focused research just within the countries. So it was hard to connect one university to another. And what you see, let's say the last 5 years, there is research done with cooperation between several universities, and the result is very interesting, because sometimes you need for research a larger group to have more valid findings and influence things positively in this way. Because if we want to work, for example, in care of education, you want to work as much as possible evidence-based on what you do. And that is why I think that the Research Network done wonderful work together. Yeah.
Yes. And what about the webinars? They organized during the COVID time, and I don't know exactly how many people attended the webinars, but there were lots of people all over the world who were very interested in those webinars.
Yeah, we got lots of representatives doing the webinars as well. Not only the webinars that are done by DBI, but many others followed the example, so to say, more locally in Eastern Europe, in South America, and several places there were webinars, and they used the information from the networks, or used or were represented by some of the partners of the networks as well. Yeah.
Frank, you mentioned before, the youth network. And what I also would like to mention is the outdoor network, because
absolutely.
People might think network is something just for professionals. It's not. It's absolutely not. It's open for anyone, and especially also for clients or persons with blindness. And one wonderful example for that is the outdoor network. That's just it's beautiful. The projects are so great every year. Incredible what they experience out there.
Yeah, they do things that I don't dare sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Once I had Joe, one of the coordinators and the lead persons of that network, explaining me about a memory stick, and that made me think about technology. Of course, we have a network for that as well. But he explained that when he is going out with the kids or adults, he just picks a stick, a branch, and they connect everything they feel, touch, or smell, or find that day to the stick.
Yeah.
And when they come back, for example, and they want to tell the story, or the day after, you take the stick and feel the leaves, you smell them, and you have your story. It is super simple, but so good.
Yeah.
The way they communicate and what they do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So good that we're even talking about the German-speaking outdoor network now. That's one of the barriers, of course, for anyone, actually, for anyone who is not as fluent in English, it can be a barrier to participate in any of those networks. So it's good if there are more and more sub-networks providing a solution for that.
Yeah, especially when some of the activities are international and it's difficult to travel sometimes.
Yeah.
And you can organize your activities more locally. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. As long as you are going to stay connected with each other. And
that's it.
And for example, the Ibero-Latin American network, what they are doing is sending their best practices to each other through clips. They are sharing. They are also translating theory and important books into Spanish. So that's great. That's great.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is.
Can you tell something about the technology network, Mirko, maybe?
I'd rather pass over to Dries. Dries will know more about the technology network.
Well, they just started, and they started as a sort of group from the Nordic countries, from the Scandinavian countries, and well, they first introduced themselves at the last meeting of the network leaders. That was last of October. And well, they had a very warm welcome because, technology is a very, very urgent subject, but also an actual subject that's very important. And so I think we are going to hear a lot of this network. And because also the focus theme on that's a great connection. That's where you see now it's coming together. And every time you are going to see that also in the networks, we are always coming together at some point, We're not only separate, distinct networks, but we also collaborate and we also have our shared points.
It is absolutely, I'm not sure if we shared that. It is also absolute fun to have contact with others with the same interest. And come to great solutions, great activities, or be able to do something together what is difficult to do on your own. So yeah, it is fun to meet each other as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
True.
So what do we do when people want to know more about a network, Trace? Where do they go to?
That's very easy. You can go to the website of Deafblind International. Click on networks, and there you will find information of all the networks. And as a network coordinator, you can also find my name and my email address. So feel free to contact me, and I can give you a direction to which network you want to go with. And the membership is for free, like the old membership of Deafblind International is for free. So
if you're becoming a new member of the DBI, you will probably choose to become a new member of any of our networks. And you can choose. If you fill in the form, become a member, you will choose which network or networks are most interesting for you.
That's true. Okay, Frank and Mirko, thank you so much for joining with me and have this little chat about networks. works. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah, Therese. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you soon.
Thank you.